is playing its regular season opener on a Wednesday. New England is at Seattle to take on the defending Super Bowl champs. The Rams and San Francisco kick off their regular season on Friday, September 11th in Melbourne, Australia. First NFL regular season game down under. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley.
Culture in my lifetime has been as impactful, if not more impactful, than politics or law or any other pursuit or business. I like to say culture is undefeated.
Culture is undefeated. That's what Council President Marquise Harris Dawson says. And you know what? He's right. Culture is undefeated. But here's the problem. You don't get to celebrate the culture while ignoring the people who created it. And that's where this procrastination Crenshaw conversation gets real. As you know, the community sent a formal letter to Harris Dawson. We're still waiting for an official response from the city. The deadline is Friday, September 4th. But in the interim, Harris Dawson penned an open letter to the community. Okay, that's fine, but responding is not the same as answering. That said, let's not confuse fixing the parking, repairing the street lights, and repaving streets and sidewalks with finishing Destination Crenshaw. The community was promised a transformational project. So, where is it? When is this thing going to be finished? The council president says the project is being delivered on a timeline. What timeline? That's not an unreasonable question, and that's not an attack. It's not division. That is accountability. And then there's the business interruption money. So in his letter, Harris Dawson says that more than $1 million went to Doolin's on Crenshaw, and additional assistance went to a few other individuals. Oh, really? Who received the money? How much money? And who didn't? I can assure you a whole lot of folk didn't get that money. How do I know? I'm getting the phone calls. You see, transparency should not scare anybody. That's how accountability works. And that's why in our letter, we ask for an audit. But instead, what do we get? A discussion about Tavis Smiley, the pastor, the parishioners, the business owners, the people asking the questions, their motives, their ambitions, their character. Well, let me tell you something. When you can't answer the questions, attacking, insulting, and gaslighting the persons asking the questions doesn't make the questions disappear. It just makes people ask why you won't answer it. Let me be clear. We don't want to fight with the council president. We want the project finished because the people of Crenshaw are not on the sidelines, Mr. President. They are Crenshaw. And if culture really is undefeated, then respect the culture, respect the people, respect the businesses, and most importantly, respect the questions. Now, answer them. The Crenshaw Corridor community is still waiting, and September 4th is fast approaching. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Just talking louder and say nothing and say nothing.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Have you heard about the cocaine scandal at Penn State University? If you haven't heard about the cocaine scandal at Penn State University, it's because the news doesn't want you to hear about the cocaine scandal at Penn State University. I call this the off-campus defense. What the Penn State cocaine story tells us about who gets to be an individual. 14 people were charged on August 17th in what Pennsylvania's Attorney General called an upper-level trafficking organization. Kilos of cocaine moved from New York and Philadelphia into State College. The product was cut and bagged inside 2 fraternity houses, and it was sold to students through Snapchat and paid for through cash apps. Investigators believe the operation cleared hundreds of thousands of dollars. 13 of the accused were Penn State students. The 14th is a father accused of hiding a safe full of drugs and cash. Now count what happened next. One fraternity was placed on interim suspension. The university announced that the other fraternity was not recognized and operated outside its oversight. A spokesperson said Penn State was horrified. No president resigned. No board convened an emergency session. No accreditor sent a letter. And as of this writing, not one of the 4 defendants still enrolled has been reported expelled. Students went back to class the following week. I want to be careful here because carelessness is the whole point. Every one of these defendants is presumed innocent. Student discipline is confidential by federal law. It is entirely possible that proceedings are underway that we cannot see. But hold that thought, because the presumption of privacy, the presumption of process, the presumption that an institution is not defined by its worst actors is exactly the currency that gets distributed unevenly in this country, and that distribution is the story. Ask yourself an honest question. If 14 students at Howard University, at Southern, at Jackson State had been indicted for running a kilo-level cocaine operation out of 2 campus houses using pledges as labor, would the coverage have stopped at the students? You know it wouldn't. There would be a hearing in a state legislature within a week. There would be a question about accreditation because HBCUs fight for accreditation, and that's always the pressure point. Morris Brown lost its accreditation in 2002. Bennett College spent 2018 and 2019 fighting for its life. Every failure at a Black college gets routed through the same question. Does this institution deserve to continue existing? Cable News has not found a Penn State official. That's all they have. A Penn State official. It would have not found the president, the board chair, the alumni association, and a member of Congress. The chyron would not say fraternity, it would say campus. It would probably say culture. That is the asymmetry. White institutional failure is narrated as individual deviance. Black institutional failure is narrated as institutional character. 14 white students trafficked cocaine, and the story is 14 young men who made bad choices. 14 Black students do the same thing, and the story is what's going wrong at that school, with that community, and with those people. Notice how the language protects the word frat bros appeared in national coverage. The alleged kingpin's dean's list record and his interest in finance were reported alongside his charges. Humanizing, detailed, offered without any irony. 14 defendants and 8 of them walked out of the courthouse charged with possession and paraphernalia, misdemeanors, in an enterprise the Commonwealth itself described as coordinated and highly profitable. I do not say that to demand harsher treatment for these young men. I say the opposite. This is what proportion and mercy look like. This is what it looks like when prosecutors see young people and think about the rest of their lives. I've argued for years that the pardon power exists precisely so that command can be joined by mercy. The Constitution fused the 2 clauses in a single sentence on purpose. My objection is not that these students were treated with grace. My objection is that grace is rationed. When the counterfactual for 40 years in 1986, Congress wrote a statute that punished crack cocaine 100 times more severely than powder cocaine, a molecule, different neighborhoods, different sentences. It took until 2010 to move that ratio to 18-1, and 18-1 is still a number that requires explanation. Nobody offered those defendants an off-campus defense. Nobody reported their dean's list. And here's the sentence in the Attorney General's own release that should stop all of us. Cutting and packaging cocaine was, for some pledges, an indoctrination into the fraternity. Indoctrination, initiation. This is not a word we use lightly, and it's not the word we normally extend to the young. When a teenager in Inglewood or Crenshaw is handed a package by an older man he wants to impress, we do not call it indoctrination. We call him a dealer, and we charge him accordingly. Pledges at Penn State were recruited, and so was he. The difference is that one institution gets to say the houses were off campus and be believed. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward right here at KBLA.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
The way I do laundry hasn't really changed until now. Have you seen the new Tide Evo? It may look different, but now I get it. It's a super concentrated laundry detergent towel from Tide, packed with 6 layers of cleaning power. You just toss it in the washer and it dissolves instantly in water. It's built differently to fight tough stains. I love it because Tide Evo comes in a lightweight cardboard box. There's no bulky plastic bottle taking up space. It's perfect for me because I have no space for anything, especially with having twins. It's double the mess and double the load every time. And the biggest perk, it makes getting a Tide clean feel so easy. Try the new Tide Evo super concentrated laundry detergent today.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
As we go a little something like this.
Hey, it is me, D.L. Hughley, and I am thrilled to be heard weekdays in my hometown on KBLA Talk 1580. So check out the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. We got a whole lot to talk about, let me tell you. That's on the real.
Unapologetically progressive. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. We don't tell you what to think. Just what to think about.
What's good, KBLA delegation? I am Miles Lowe, and I'm excited to be joining the weekend lineup right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Join me every Saturday at 12 noon for the Do Better Show, where we get into the world of tech, AI, the creator economy, navigating your mental health through it all, and have conversations with founders to find out how real people are making real money right now. It's not a course, not a subscription. Class is in session every weekend, live on the air. If you knew better, you do better, right? So let's make a better you. The Do Better Show, every Saturday, 12 noon, replaying again at 7 p.m. right here on Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk about.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
I'm an Eaton Fire hero. I was trapped there January 7th, 2025. So I was awarded the Carnegie American Red Cross and the Kiwanis Lifesaver Award. So to me, this looks like a slow burn. You constantly see Dr. Hardy, Pastor Caldwell, Mr. Smiley here. Their business is slowly impacted. Now in Altadena, it was a quick burn. Everybody left. Everybody got priced out. They didn't have enough money to stay afloat. They couldn't rebuild their property. So to me, this is a target for the developers. In my opinion, having been in Altadena for 18 months, still today, I still feed all of those people there because they're still displaced because they can't afford to come back. So what do? They move down to the Inland Empire, or they just call it a day and they go back to another state. So it's important to hold leadership accountable because as of right now, they've abdicated their responsibility. They just show up for the cameras and they don't even come to see you.
Keeping them in check. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Moving Mountain Monday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and on this Monday, we find ourselves in the first hour in Mr. Krim's classroom. Mr. Krim is an Emmy-nominated producer, public teacher, anti-racist educator, hate crime victor, who uses Black historical narratives to empower and educate through a culturally equitable lens. Ernest Krim, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, what's up, brother? It's good to be here with you again.
Brother, I need you to process Penn State through a culturally equitable lens.
Oh, man. You know what? First off,
bro,
I got to say, I'm glad that you wrote that this week because I heard about it and it left the news cycle just as quickly. And as we begin this week on Monday, the media entities, the mainstream media, they want to bury this story. So culturally equitable lens, right? This is what I would challenge people to do, especially if I was working with educators and I'm talking about how we view our kids, and how we view our kids determines how we discipline and reprimand them. We know Black children, boys and girls, are reprimanded at higher rates for doing the same thing as white children or other even other people of color, but also too for subjective things that you could interpret based on how you feel. This is what I did while you were talking. I went to Google, I typed in Penn State, and I went to news. And I would, for everybody listening, watching online, I want you to tell me, yes or no. Was this the top story? Do you think it was a top story? And you could probably tell based on how I'm talking that it wasn't. I go to Penn State and Google, I go to the news section. The first story is about the football team. The second story is about the football team. The third story is about Penn State fans and the coach. The fourth story, I'm still going, is talking about the volleyball team. When I get to the fifth section of Google, then I see something from the New York Post a day ago. Then I see a few more stories. I barely see any pictures. Now, we know how the New York Post operates, so they do have some of these pictures. But any other publication, just like you said, there's nothing, right? If we, just like you said, were to come up with a similar story relative to a HBCU, those stories would be everywhere. The faces everywhere. And the fact that you broke down that these children are, these young adults are still enrolled in college is mind-boggling. But when we even think of drug dealer, right? If we think of gang member, right?
You won't even get accepted. You won't even get accepted to college.
Right.
It's not possible that if you have a felony record for selling drugs in your community and you apply to a college, including an HBCU, there is a strong probability with that conviction you're not going to get in. But here is a cocaine ring, a conspiracy. And it doesn't just stop with those who were pushing dope with the drug dealers on campus. It also includes Zelle and PayPal and other forms of transaction for drugs being distributed across the campus. When they make that list public, and they should, of who's been purchasing cocaine at Penn State University, and how long the cocaine ring has been taking place, and how many frat brothers are involved. And since the cocaine came from New York, that's an interstate problem that should get the attention of the DEA and certainly the Federal Bureau of Investigation. That's interstate trafficking of cocaine. I mean, these are serious offenses to which not only do you do time, but you can be felonized for the rest of your life. And I see another pattern here, Ernest. That is the absence of the federal government in investigations leave their crimes as state offenses. Whether it's the investigation into Nolan Wells, we don't know what the facts are in that case. We'll obviously be hearing more and more about that as that continues in the public sphere. But as Penn State also enters the public sphere, without a federal investigation, it's left to the locals to determine how those young people will be treated. And you better believe that the Alumni Association at Penn State doesn't want the reputation of Penn State to go down this way. And that is exactly why you're able to Google Penn State, and way down on the bottom of the list is a cocaine scandal. If it's on the list at all, like it's out of the news as fast as it entered the news. Ernest?
Similar to the Nolan Wells situation, where we were finding out that some of the young white men who were on that boat or in the area were connected. I believe one of them, their mother was a judge or something like that. I would not be surprised if we find out that with this same situation, their parents have some type of high position. You even pointed out in your editorial, and I didn't know this, so thank you for pointing this out. You said, and I quote, the 14th is a father accused of hiding a safe full of drugs in cash. How is
He's
this
a dope dealer? He's a dope dealer.
like
he's the honorable dope dealer at Penn State University.
And when you consider what happened at Penn State with their coaches, right? I'm trying to remember the name.
Joe Paterno, all of them.
Sandusky, that whole situation, right? That's something, again, we don't like. If this is the same school, what is that reputation like if that's us? And what does it look like for Black children if they were involved at this PWI? Is that same level of protection afforded? We are still, as a community, recovering, y'all, from the war on drugs. Not fully recovered, because even we think about California, you think about Illinois, where it's now legal, and I see dispensaries pop up everywhere. The ownership in our community is relatively low, right? And even that tax money being used to repair communities that was harmed is not happening fast enough. So now we have generations of Black folks and families who are harmed by this war on us. Because that's what Richard Nixon's aide said. That's the conversation they had. They said they have to criminalize or associate us with selling these drugs so that they can re-enslave us. This is what we're dealing with since the 70s, after the civil rights movement and Black Power movement. We are still fighting these forces today. If you go through any of our communities, you can still see the dilapidated buildings, the businesses, the empty lots, the underfunded schools, the liquor stores that came as a result of this war.
So what do you make of this idea that one fraternity was placed on interim suspicion or suspension? Interim suspension? Man, if I'm an Omega, man, if Omega or the Kappas or the Alphas were selling cocaine and packaging it in little packets and selling it on Penn State's campus, do you think we would get an interim suspension?
Brother, like, just the idea, because we both know, and every brother and sister listening right now knows what would have happened. Like, can you imagine the headlines on the front page of every paper across America on the campus? Like, this is it counters every narrative that we have. Even when we think about the TV shows that are rooted on people from our community who gain wealth selling drugs. Like, we got to remember, in America, the first gangsters weren't us. the first dope dealers, drug dealers, you know what I'm saying? Prohibition era. Like, we talking, come on, man. Al Capone and them.
The university announced that another fraternity was not recognized and operated outside of its oversight. But this is Penn State University. And every security officer on that campus is a state security official. This is not a private college. This is Pennsylvania State University, Penn State, which means if someone is off of the campus bringing drugs onto the campus, yes, the Penn State Campus Police Department, which is part of the state of Pennsylvania, has the right to investigate an organization off of the campus, because it is a state police department, to determine the harm that it's bringing to the campus itself. But for the campus to throw up its arms and say, we have nothing to do with the fraternity off of the campus's grounds, that's just not true. That's just not true. You have jurisdiction over the entire state for any criminal activity that could impact that university. No doubt about it.
And consider the generational harm to Black communities in that very state. The idea of police monitoring our neighborhoods for years and years. And I even reflect on, well, how long was this going on then? When did it actually start? You know, because when we find out about it, it's not when it started. It didn't start, this school year. It didn't start just when these young men went to college. Like, so if we're talking about parents being involved too, how deep does this go? And what is the occupation of that parent? I'm certain that they're just not, someone that has a fast food worker of some sort. I'm sure they have some high level position in our government. So if we don't continue to talk about this is what we have to continue to understand, y'all. Like, media framing has a humongous and tremendous impact on how we view each other as a community, especially if we aren't critically thinking. If we just ingest that without reflecting on what we just came across, then it will negatively impact us. We have to be critical of every plate the media puts in front of us, because this has been the norm in this society more than it has been the norm in our community. And one of the things we have to continue to bring up is in many Black communities across America, drugs came in as a result of manufacturing jobs being taken away. This was an intentional design. The very community that I am living in now had a thriving Black business district from the 50s, 60s, 70s, even earlier than that. But when they got rid of those Caterpillar manufacturing jobs and outsourced them overseas, all the Black folks who came from the South, from Mississippi and Arkansas to the North to get those jobs were now in poverty. So the base of people who kept the Black businesses thriving were now lacking employment. So instead of then giving those same communities an opportunity to thrive and make some money in a different way, what do you see happen? Two things: drugs in a community where a lot of people have not even left a block or the city, and you see an increase in private prisons and jails.
Student discipline is confidential by federal law, but not if you're selling cocaine. They get to hide behind federal law and not tell us what the student discipline is. What we do know within the last 6 months is that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth have spent a lot of time in the Caribbean blowing up speedboats with cocaine in it. But cocaine on Penn State's campus, as far as I can tell, again, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. As far as we can tell, we cannot see any proceedings that may or may not be underway by the federal government. But the federal government is clearly very silent at this point. And as far as I can tell, no one has been arrested. No federal court judge has been called to arraign those who have been arrested, caught in a massive conspiracy at Penn State University. Again, everyone in this matter is innocent until proven guilty. Just on the other side of town, way over here at KBLA Talk 1580, we are wondering how we would be treated if a cocaine conspiracy were taking place on one of our campuses. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More when we come forward in Mr. Krim's classroom.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. Black Republican Florida Congressman Byron Donalds is under fire for blaming a measles outbreak on illegal immigration. Here's what he said on CBS's Face the Nation Sunday.
The reason why we have seen a measles outbreak in certain parts of the country is because of rampant illegal immigration into the United States.
Donalds pointed to outbreaks in El Paso and Southwest Florida, but offered no data to back the claim. The trial of the man accused of orchestrating Tupac Shakur's 1996 murder continues today in Las Vegas. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis is accused of planning the drive-by shooting that left the rapper fatally wounded 30 years ago. He's pleaded not guilty and could face life behind bars if convicted. And Pete Buttigieg is making a fresh play for Black voters in South Carolina. According to CNN, some say this is for a possible 2028 presidential run. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers have won 6 straight after sweeping Pittsburgh Sunday. 4 Dodgers pitchers combined to allow the Pirates only 2 hits and a 4-0 win. The Dodgers won their 80th game of the season. They are 1 game behind Milwaukee for the best record in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers are now 15-13 since hanging out with Trump at the White House on July 23rd. Things are beginning to look up for the Dodgers with 31 games left in the regular season. We are 16 days away from the start of the NFL regular season on Wednesday, September 9th. First time in NFL history, the league is playing its regular season opener on a Wednesday. New England is at Seattle to take on the defending Super Bowl champs. The Rams and San Francisco kick off their regular season on Friday, September 11th in Melbourne, Australia. First NFL regular season game down under. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. Let's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Number 14. That's where Talkers Magazine ranked Tavis Smiley on their heavy 100 list of the 100 most important talk radio hosts in America. Join Tavis weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon or 9 p.m. to midnight, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Don't be anxious or confused about AI. Take control of your career when you get the skills to tackle real business problems and design specialized solutions. HR Dive reported that entry-level talent with applied AI credentials can receive up to a 25% salary boost. But where do you find training that you can trust? Future-proof your career and deliver more value with Humans Lead the Way AI. Their hybrid learning courses use practical definitions, real-world examples, and strategic insights to help you and your team understand AI with confidence. No magic, no hacks, no shortcuts. Just practical knowledge that helps you use AI more successfully. Don't wait. AI can never replace people who know how to use it well. Register for courses today at humansleadtheway.com. That's humansleadtheway.com.
Hi, I'm John Wood Jr., host of the Kingdom Project, weekends on KBLA Talk 1580. Black America has a tradition of holding the United States of America to the standard of her stated principles when it comes to democracy. When the country has said all men are created equal, Black people have demanded that we mean it. In the long history of holding America accountable to the promise of her ideals, no name looms larger than Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day.
But as the country has drifted from the ideals of Dr. King, do Black people have a special obligation to revive Dr. King's philosophy? Furthermore, does the Black church have a responsibility to renew the moral leadership of America and reacquaint the nation with the gospel principles that inform Dr. King's philosophy? Tune in Sundays at 9 a.m. Pacific as I make the case for the revival of the philosophy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the moral leadership of the Black church, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're in the classroom with Mr. Ernest Krim. Ernest Krim has created content for companies such as HBO, Hulu, Disney, Paramount, the History Channel. He is the CEO of Krim's Cultural Consulting LLC, an international speaker who's spoken at Harvard, University of Chicago, Microsoft, and Colin Kaepernick's Know Your Rights camp, and audiences in the UK and Canada. Ernest, welcome forward to the show.
Hey, thanks again for having me, brother.
Ernest, things have to be going really, really bad in Gary, and they are. It's like the Katrina of the North now, given that the storm is more than 12, maybe 13 days old. Thousands are still without power. You know things are bad anytime the average resident of Gary is talking about we need Jackie and Marlon and Janet and Prince and Paris to come on to Gary and give us some help because they need to bring as much attention to it as possible. But I want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to Mayor Eddie Melton. Eddie Melton was a state representative, and now he is the mayor of Gary, Indiana. And I'm telling you, as sure as I'm sitting here, Gary, Indiana is experiencing a renaissance. I mean, for the first time in like 40 years, they have street lights, literally working crews who put up street lights to light. They have stop lights at major intersections because of the leadership of Mayor Melton. He's been negotiating with major industries to locate to Gary, Indiana. I mean, if I've ever seen a community transform, it has been under the leadership of Mayor Eddie Melton. And then a massive storm blew through Gary and almost blew Gary back into the Jurassic period. This is not something that we should be. This is a tragedy because of the renaissance that Mayor Melton and his team has been bringing forward in the city of Gary. Ernest, your thoughts about what we can do to help and just how awful the response has been from the powers that be in the state of Indiana for northwestern Indiana.
I think we are able to see in this situation the stark difference in having a leader in place at the state level that is willing to help. Because when you think about Chicago and the Chicago area having the leadership that we have versus when you cross that line to Indiana, and we know that for these things to work, you have a great mayor such as the one that they have in Gary, but you have to have support from the state leadership. You have to have support from the state governor. And Indiana's a red state, and we cross that fictional line when we're driving on I-80 and things change drastically. You know, it's not just the fact that folks in Illinois can go over there and maybe buy some fireworks or something like that. It's the difference of the response time. It's the difference in how people are viewed, right? And Gary, we kind of jokingly say for folks who are from Chicago or from the area, we say those are our cousins, you know? It's not that far away. It's a 30-minute drive. I mean, you have all these locales like Milwaukee and Detroit and, Minneapolis. Like, these places are all of us here in the Midwest. And people came to Gary the same reason they came up north to Chicago and the same reason they came up north to Milwaukee, Detroit, and where I'm at in Joliet and Minneapolis and, Des Moines, Iowa, for example, like for the jobs and opportunity. And Gary has been a strong, bustling community. We got to shout out Mayor Richard Hatcher, who was the one of two first Black mayors of large cities in the late 60s, and bringing in the National Black Political Convention with your father in 1972. Like, these were pivotal moments. Now, a lot of people, of course, know the Jackson family. We should, but we also have to know that they were a hub for Black political power, right? And my introduction to even being able to go to Gary only came a couple years ago, even though I was always close. I went out there and I spoke, and that was the first thing I noticed when I got there. I got there a couple hours early because I wanted to see, of course, some historical landmarks. And I was just kind of blown away at the fact that I couldn't believe that there were so many, not just abandoned buildings, but like abandoned schools, like full on abandoned high schools. And like you said, no stoplights and things like that. And we have to realize, y'all, when we see this in Black communities, we cannot be under the assumption that it is because of Black people not working hard enough. This is a system-wide issue. When the steel industries leave, when the industry that employ people, that lure them from the South leaves, then the economy tanks. We're talking about most of the schools there, y'all, are charter schools. The following year, so last year, I went back to Gary. I volunteered for a career day, and I saw many of the same things, right? So here's the lesson I want to give folks, because Gary is still struggling. I want to shout out, well-known folks like Glenn Robinson, who used to play in the NBA, who donated, who's from Gary. Darius Garland, who plays for the Cleveland, what is the team, man? I can't think of the name right now, and I'm an NBA fan, but you know what I mean. Cavaliers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Cavaliers. I didn't know he was from Gary. I saw Trader Truth, who's a rapper from Houston. I saw Keith Lee, the TikTok creator. All these folks are converging to help out. That's what mutual aid looks like. One of the first things I did was hit up my contact that brought me to Gary to see if there was a reliable link to give, and I started posting it. Mutual aid, y'all, looks like when we see a problem, we go immediately. We don't wait. We don't have to get permission from an elected official. We just go there. And I'm so happy to see that as I was looking at all these other folks going, to your point, the mayor was on the front lines advocating for his people. He didn't leave his people. He's there and he's speaking up. And I think that we have to remember, if we can't do anything, if we can't get there, find a way to give. Hit me up on Instagram at Crim's Class Pod. I have several posts about this. And make sure that the infrastructure in your community is prepared, because it can happen to anybody. Memphis is without power right now. The south suburbs of Chicago deal with it. And we know our folks in Cali have dealt with this on another level with wildfires as well.
Yeah, we got power in the south suburbs, which is the congressional district that I used to represent, because the governor of our state wants to be president. So you better believe the lights are going to get turned on in the state of Illinois. And I mean, there is nothing that separates us from Gary, Indiana, but a street sign. I mean, a street light. I mean, we cross the street and we are in the state of Indiana. And just about another 10-minute ride, you're right there in Gary, Indiana. And I would like to make one little editorial comment to what Mr. Krim said. The steel mill is still there. It's automated now. Thousands of people don't have to go to work at the steel mill to produce the same amount of steel that it produced when it had thousands of people going to work there. It's just automated. Fewer people, better automation, more productive steel, more profit at a higher rate than they've ever had in the history of the company. Hancock Building was built in Gary, Indiana. The steel was taken to downtown Chicago. The Sears Tower, now the Willis Tower, its steel came from Gary, Indiana, produced very close to the city of Chicago. What really happened in Gary, Indiana, and it's really easy for us to look at Black folks and for us to blame ourselves. What really happened in Gary, Indiana is when Mayor Hatcher was elected, the white folks decided to leave Gary rather than have a Black mayor. And you know what they did? They went and started a whole new city, not far from Gary, Maryville, Indiana. They incorporated a brand new city rather than live in Gary with us. Now, we've been living with them since the beginning of Gary. Joe Jackson worked in the steel mill. We've been living there with them for a long time. But when we won politically, they left. And with them went the tax base to Maryville. With them went industry to Maryville. With them went the hotels and the convention centers and the entertainers, always performing even to this day, the Black ones in Maryville. None of them know the history, and none of them are, quote unquote, trying to come to Gary to perform. However, I got to give some love to Eddie Melton, because this past summer, I went to a concert, bunch of old school, fantastic artists at the baseball stadium in Gary, Indiana. And the people were having a wonderful time. He was bringing excitement and culture and entertainment and love back to the community. And the community tangibly could feel it. I've got to give him love. Denise Williams from Gary, our producer in my ear from Gary, the town's funeral home. She ain't going to let that go. Jocelyn's. Where's Jocelyn's? Is she over on Calumet Avenue? Over on Calumet Avenue, her Breakfast Club.
Broadway.
On Broadway Avenue, the Breakfast Club in Gary, and the little hot dog stand over at the Village, the little red hot dog stand. Listen, something really is a sight to behold. They have a full mall. I mean, it must be 100,000 square feet. And every single business has been out of there for 50 years, except for one hot dog stand, which is where everybody go to lunch to get their hot dog, because the hot dog is that good. Now, I ain't gonna tell you who owns the mall, because they probably own malls all over the country, but they use the mall in Gary as the mall that's losing money, that hasn't made money in 40 years, but that's their tax write-off. And they write it off against the malls that they have in big cities and other places. That too is one of the crimes that is of Gary. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward right here on KBLA.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
My name is Asata Umoja. I'm with the Hyde Park Organizational Partnership for Empowerment, which is at the southern end of Crenshaw. And this community has been greatly impacted. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we're most concerned about is just being totally neglected. And what I mean is being excluded from the process. When this project first started, they should have made sure that our organization, since we were most impacted, was in there. So we've been excluded, and we've seen commercial properties be taken for art projects. And we're very concerned about these are spaces that could help build economic growth and development in the community. And what this community needs more of is economic development, not art. I mean, I like art. It's a good thing. But they're putting the cart before the horse, because without a solid economic foundation, what they are calling cultural tourism absolutely has no significance and no meaning. And this community is going under if we don't stop and do something to help build that economic foundation and support the businesses that are the tax base for this community to build the kind of services that we need. And the response from our leadership is totally inadequate.
Holding them accountable. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you in fighting for the rights of Black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars working collectively to improve the position of the Black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the Black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare Black workers for employment in high-wage career track jobs. The LA Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. And they are advocating for a fair deal for Black workers in the new Los Angeles City Charter. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing, or learn about union apprenticeship programs and trade registries, please visit lablackworkercenter.org. That's lablackworkercenter.org. Together, we can beat the Black jobs crisis and build a more equitable Los Angeles. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. At the heart of the Al Wooten Center's mission for good citizenship and academic excellence is a desire to ensure that every student avoids the kind of lifestyle and overcomes the kinds of challenges that led to the murder of Al Wooten Jr. In 1990, founder Myrtle Faye Rumpf opened the center in honor of her son's life. In 2026, they are serving more than 300 students in grades 3 through 12 annually online and on site at their youth center and other sites in the South LA area. The Al Wooten Jr. Youth Center takes a neighborhood approach to the revitalization and empowerment of a community in crisis. The Wooten Center provides free after-school and summer programs to help students in grades 3 through 12 attain grade-level proficiency and promotion, high school graduation, and college and career access and success. The Al Wooten Center focuses on academics, STEM, the arts, and so much more. Join them for an enriching experience that sparks creativity and nurtures young minds. Tap in at Wooten Center. That's WootenCenter.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We're in the classroom with Ernest Krim, Moving Mountain Monday. Ernest, welcome forward to the show.
Thanks again for having me, brother.
Brother, it is my intention to opine on the issues in Gary, Indiana at the top of the hour. And so I hope that our listeners will stay with us through that process with Reverend Dr. Terry Ford Owens, where we're going to continue this conversation about what's taking place in Gary, Indiana, because we cannot allow it to happen without our involvement, our engagement, because there is a double standard here. We are not being treated, getting our power. Everybody who has a refrigerator has lost all of their food. They can't keep it. They can't store it. There's no lights at night. Students can't study, and class has already begun. Without basic air conditioning and infrastructure in this heat, mold will continue to spread through the city, and it could kill people. And so the devastation could be very long lasting if we don't do our part. And that's what we are going to talk about in the next hour right here at the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I was also reading a really interesting article that in order to help fight some of the potential wildfires in Los Angeles and the state of California, Universal Studios has about 400 goats. That's it. Correct. Goats. They herd up to about 400 goats annually to naturally clear dry brush and grass its steep hillsides, significantly reducing wildfire risk during Southern California's fire season.
Wow.
I'm glad that they're using goats.
Learn something new.
There's enough unemployed Negroes out here to clear brush too, and our Hispanic brothers and sisters. And derelicts of destitution sitting out here on these streets with nothing to do. Also, we can clear brush. Maybe not faster than the goats.
We can figure this out.
Let me give it to you, Ernest. We can figure this out. That's a song right there.
There we go. I think that's the moral of the story for this hour. We can figure this out together. Everything in nature has a purpose. I'm reminded of that when you say that. I think what we have to do as people is figure out how to just stop destroying it. Stop destroying nature, because climate change and all of these issues we see, y'all, it is very overwhelming, right? I saw a story. I'm not sure if you saw this, Jesse, but there were tornadoes on the East Coast too. Tornadoes in New Jersey, tornadoes in the New York area. And these are things that we were taught just wouldn't happen near large cities. And I'm often reminded of now this difference between, intellect and wisdom, like the things we were taught and the wisdom to say that in this moment, anything is possible. Anything is really possible on any side of the spectrum. And we have to truly be prepared to be our own heroes, y'all. We have to be prepared to come to the rescue of our fellow citizen and our brothers and sisters, regardless of their citizenship status, y'all. I think in this moment, we have to remember as well that we are the media collectively, just like we're the government, we're the media. These stories, such as the one that Jesse editorialized about Penn State, we bring this back up into the discussion so that people are aware. What happened in Gary was not getting the attention that it needed until people online continue to talk about it. You have to keep in mind, too, that many folks in the traditional media will go on social media to find out what's popping, what's cracking in the streets, right? What's going on? What are people talking about? So when we continue to talk about these things, we raise awareness, but the pivot we must continue to make is, what do we then do? When we hear about what happened in Penn State, we have to continue to remember to realize that there's a difference in how our kids are viewed. There's a difference in how we're treated in stories like this, because I was doing some quick Google research and during our breaks, and there are stories going back to the 70s, even probably beyond that, where you can find white students at PWIs doing this exact same thing from Princeton to Columbia and so on and so forth. And I was looking to see if I can find any, black fraternities that were involved in this, and time after time, I couldn't find any. And what I also found out too, as I was looking and doing some really, really quick research, was that many times these white frats were barely even punished. Barely punished. They may have gotten a couple years. They get a reduced sentence. But again, when we don't talk about it, they handle that stuff beneath the surface, right? Out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. So y'all remember that these things that we are expecting to change don't change without us. In addition to that, when we think about this Gary situation, I'm an educator by trade. This is the back to school season. Kids are not in school in Gary potentially because of this, right? Kids are not in school in Memphis in some of these schools as they're dealing with these power outages. When we think about the opportunity gap, when we see the differences in reading scores, math scores, and science scores, we have to include all of these different variables, but also remember that those scores can account for what is being built during these times. And we want to also make sure that we are building kids who are capable of addressing the needs of a community if and when this happens again. Because we don't look at these and say, I'm glad this isn't me. We look at these as an example of what could potentially happen to us here in America. We are all connected. We're all Flint. Yeah, right. We're all Gary. We're all Memphis. We're all LA. So y'all, let's continue to come together and let's continue to exercise that mutual aid and be critical of what the mass media is feeding us and not feeding us.
I love that, Ernest. Mutual aid. Boy, that's a big takeaway. Help ourselves. And let's not sit back and just watch. We'd expect more from the government, but we're not always going to get that. Ernest, thank you for being on our show today.
Thanks again for having me, brother.
You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Moving Mountain Mondays. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, Reverend Terry Hord Owens, the president and general minister of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ in the United States and Canada. We are going to focus and shift our attention to Gary, Indiana. And I do have an opinion that I'm going to share when we come forward. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Listening to KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. Black Republican Florida Congressman Byron Donalds is under fire for blaming a measles outbreak on illegal immigration. Here's what he said on CBS's Face the Nation Sunday.
The reason why we have seen a measles outbreak in certain parts of the country is because of rampant illegal immigration into the United States.
Donalds pointed to outbreaks in El Paso and Southwest Florida, but offered no data to back the claim. The trial of the man accused of orchestrating Tupac Shakur's 1996 murder continues today in Las Vegas. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis is accused of planning the drive-by shooting that left the rapper fatally wounded 30 years ago. He's pleaded not guilty and could face life behind bars if convicted. And Pete Buttigieg is making a fresh play for black voters in South Carolina. According to CNN, some say this is for a possible 2028 presidential run. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers have won 6 straight after sweeping Pittsburgh Sunday. 4 Dodgers pitchers combined to allow the Pirates only 2 hits and a 4-0 win. The Dodgers won their 80th game of the season. They are 1 game behind Milwaukee for the best record in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers are now 15-13 since hanging out with Trump at the White House on July 23rd. Things are beginning to look up for the Dodgers with 31 games left in the regular season. We are 16 days away from the start of the NFL regular season on Wednesday, September 9th. First time in NFL history, the league is playing its regular season opener on a Wednesday. New England is at Seattle to take on the defending Super Bowl champs. The Rams and San Francisco kick off their regular season on Friday, September 11th in Melbourne, Australia. First NFL regular season game down under. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley.
Culture in my lifetime has been as impactful, if not more impactful, than politics or law or any other pursuit or business. I like to say culture is undefeated.
Culture is undefeated. That's what Council President Marquise Harris Dawson says. And you know what? He's right. Culture is undefeated. But here's the problem. You don't get to celebrate the culture while ignoring the people who created it. And that's where this procrastination Crenshaw conversation gets real. As you know, the community sent a formal letter to Harris Dawson. We're still waiting for an official response from the city. The deadline is Friday, September 4th. But in the interim, Harris Dawson penned an open letter to the community. Okay, that's fine, but responding is not the same as answering. That said, let's not confuse fixing the parking, repairing the streetlights, and repaving streets and sidewalks with finishing Destination Crenshaw. The community was promised a transformational project. So, where is it? When is this thing going to be finished? The council president says the project is being delivered on a timeline. What timeline? That's not an unreasonable question. And that's not an attack. It's not division. That is accountability. And then there's the business interruption money. So in his letter, Harris Dawson says that more than $1 million went to Doolin's on Crenshaw, and additional assistance went to a few other individuals. Oh, really? Who received the money? How much money? And who didn't? I can assure you a whole lot of folk didn't get that money. How do I know? I'm getting the phone calls. You see, transparency should not scare anybody. That's how accountability works. And that's why in our letter, we ask for an audit. But instead, what do we get? A discussion about Tavis Smiley, the pastor, the parishioners, the business owners, the people asking the questions, their motives, their ambitions, their character. Well, let me tell you something. When you can't answer the questions, attacking, insulting, and gaslighting the persons asking the questions doesn't make the questions disappear. It just makes people ask why you won't answer it. Let me be clear. We don't want to fight with the council president. We want the project finished because the people of Crenshaw are not on the sidelines, Mr. President. They are Crenshaw. And if culture really is undefeated, then respect the culture, respect the people, respect the businesses, and most importantly, respect the questions. Now, answer them. The Crenshaw Corridor community is still waiting, and September 4th is fast approaching. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Just talking louder. Just say nothing. Just say nothing.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh.